Well, hello, all you
What up,
wonderful
guys?
people. This is Alex, aka Bubba, with Ethan.
Ethan, aka Bedsheet Penny.
Yeah, Bedsheet Builder here. And this is the first episode of Bedsheet BallZone. So welcome.
Oh, we love
Thank
them
you.
balls.
First of
So,
many episodes. Chill. But yeah, this is me and Ethan's podcast that we're gonna have just talking sports. Um, I mainly just wanted to make this podcast because I love talking sports and I want to have receipts for all my takes when they age well.
for
They're also
real.
going to age badly, so it's also going to
Well,
bite me in the butt.
that's why
But
we got burners. Also,
yes, so yeah, um, yeah. So I'm excited to start. This is going to be our first episode of, like I said, many. Eventually, on later episodes, we'll have some of our friends. In my case, we'll have some of our family members
be a
eventually,
guess.
um,
Ooh,
as
damn.
guests. I know. So yeah, the whole point is just to like talk about sports and yeah, just have fun with it. So without further
Argue,
ado,
debate, agree,
yeah. Yeah, for real. So
further
today on the
knowledge
first episode,
ourselves.
on the first episode, we're just gonna talk about the NFL playoffs, the current state, our predictions, hypotheticals,
Go
just
Chiefs.
talk football like casual bros. And then later, we're gonna talk about the NBA and eventually the NFL rookie wide receiver draft class for this next upcoming draft because there's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft. So I'm excited to talk about all that. But yeah. First off, we're going to start talking about the NFL playoffs. So, Ethan, what are your first reactions from the outcomes of Wild Card Weekend this past weekend?
My reactions, I think the Lions could make a run, a serious run. I think they no.
Uh, I don't know.
I
I
think they
disagree with
could.
that.
I think they could with
I think
another
Dan
home
Campbell's bad.
game this
Hold on,
week.
finish what you're saying.
With another home game this week against the Bucks, could
Yeah,
be good.
they could like
And
so easily lose that game though.
the also
Like, dog,
the Chiefs looked good. Like we didn't
they
look
looked all
bad
right. They looked all right.
against the Dolphins. Let up seven
Yeah,
points. Our defense might carry us through the
yeah,
playoffs, but
for real.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Lions. I kind of disagree with the Lions. I think they're fraudulent. I think
Really.
I think that they're honestly a bottom three team left in the playoffs right now. But luckily, one of the other teams is the Bucks in my bottom three, so it's like they still could very easily
Yeah,
win this week. But
the
I'm not
Bucks.
confident in
I
Dan
don't see.
Campbell at all. I think Dan Campbell is, bro. Everybody was talking about how like when it was like it was like 3rd and 5 or whatever in that Rams game,
Yeah,
and they threw the ball rather than running it and chewing the clock.
yeah.
And people were saying that, oh, Dan Campbell he's like, he just laid it all out there. Like, he's gutsy. Dog,
You said
that was the dumbest thing he could have done because I don't care if it was wide open. If he drops that, you give them a chance. Like, you give them like 35 seconds and a kick return, and all they need to do is get in field goal range and they win. And you're
I
gonna
mean,
throw it rather than chew the clock. I'm like, if you want to be gutsy, just run it up the middle, get the first down anyways. Like I don't understand
that's
that
true.
mindset.
They
That's
do
how you
have
lose games. That's how you
Jameer
lose
Gibbs
games.
and David Montgomery
Yeah,
to
like
do
I
that
just
with.
don't understand. And you got one of the best offensive lines in the league. I don't understand why you feel like you need to put the ball in Jared Goff's hands with the game on the line.
I get that,
But
but also like that was awesome. Like, come on.
yeah, it he made a gutsy call
How is that not
and it
good
did pay
coaching
off.
if they got that?
I guess that like that is a fair point, but it's just
Yeah.
like why even risk it? Like just have bro, because if you run it up the middle and you don't get the first down, you're gonna do is kick, they're gonna get the punt and then they're gonna get a play, like a Hail Mary, and that's it.
Yeah.
And in that rate, I would rather take that slight chance. And
I completely see what
that's
you're
not even
saying.
a possibility if you get the first down anyways. I'm like just run the ball. I don't know. That's mine though. My stance on that anyways. But the Chiefs though, I
I
actually
didn't even get to
spoiler.
watch the game at all.
Yeah, the game was
I
very
just
mid.
watched the
I mean, it
highlights.
was a good game, but like the Chiefs kind of controlled the whole game anyways, and
Yeah.
there wasn't like a lot of explosive plays. I will say
Hmm.
this, I loved watching Mahomes play because
He had a few
he got
good
to,
runs.
no, I know. I love watching Mahomes play because when he runs, it's crazy how much space he has because you have to
Holy,
respect the throw.
so much.
Literally, like if he's like running like and he's like within a yard of the line of scrimmage, you still got to stay back. Like
Uh-huh.
until he passes that line by a yard, like you got to respect the throw. So he just has so much he has so much lane and open grass and open field to just run for
Yeah.
days. And we see that every playoff game. Every playoff game he has like
He's
at
a
least
monster.
one play where he's like throwing or where he's like running for 30 yards and he's winning the game off that.
His
And
playoff performances are ridiculous.
yeah, I
Saw
uh
that one.
I uh I have the Chiefs winning another playoff game against the Bills.
Same.
Which is really hard
Was
for
it
me
us
because
going?
I really wanted to have the Bills go to the AFC Championship or like to the Super Bowl potentially because I think that they are good. I think that
They
this
are.
like was their
They're a
year,
good team.
but unfortunately, I know what Patrick Mahomes can do, and we saw him win a Super Bowl on a bad foot the entire playoffs. I don't care
Uh-huh.
who he's throwing the ball to. He's gonna
It,
get it done. And that defense is way too good for them to like just get blown
yeah.
out by the Bills on the road.
Oh,
Trent
for sure.
McDuffie and
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed are so legit, and I'll let you
So
talk
good.
about them.
Dude, but what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of rambling there, but yeah, Trent McDuffie, watching him play and watching him like make that hit,
They're
I know
animals.
you know what I'm talking about. That hit on
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill,
Uh-huh.
Lord have
And
mercy,
then
bro. He's
L'Jarius
an animal.
Sneed's jam, like right at the line of scrimmage, just pushed him down.
Yeah,
Tyreek went
dude.
nowhere. That was
The fact that
amazing.
L'Jarius Sneed didn't make the Pro Bowl is like
Uh,
laughable. That just shows you how many good cornerbacks there are in the AFC. Because like
yeah.
the four that got over him were like valid. Like Denzel Ward's good, Sauce Gardner's like arguably the best, Pat Surtain's are
Yeah.
arguably the best. So it was a
It
bad luck of a
really is a
draw.
loaded position right now.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many. But I do want to give L'Jarius Sneed his flowers because he is like arguably the best defensive player on the Chiefs, maybe even over Chris Jones this season. I mean,
Hmm.
L'Jarius Sneed had like one of the he's locking up Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase week in, week out. They're not even
Oh, he locks
catching the
up
ball.
everyone. Like
Yeah.
he debatably had the best season from a cornerback
No, I know. Like
Of the Chief.
like that's literally an argument.
Yeah.
Like so that defense is way too good to just go into Buffalo, especially with the Bills' weapons. Like I mean, Diggs has looked very mid. Dalton
Hmm.
Kincaid's like Dawson Knox is like I can't even name their wide receiver. Oh, Gabriel David, like Gabe Davis, bro. Like really?
I remembered what I was gonna say. This game is scaring me because a lot
Really?
of people
Yeah.
that I've talked to are picking the Chiefs, which scares me when most people pick the Chiefs. But also, like, the Bills are in a great run right now. Like
Yeah, they've been
they
playing
hit
some of the
their
best ball as
prime
well.
of their team at the end of the season, and they've obviously continued it into the playoffs. And like
Yeah.
nobody's really talking about that. Like it's all just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, Chiefs Bills, oh, it's a big game. We got Patty versus Josh, but like they are debatably like the best team in the NFL right now.
No, I know. That's why it's like unfortunate because
I've still got faith. I've
they're,
still got the Chiefs, but
yeah, yeah, because the Bills are very good. They're deserving of another playoff win. The Chiefs, unfortunately, I just think historically have their number, and
mhm.
I don't know. I just can't not pick that
What are
defense
we
with Patrick Mahomes.
3-0 against them in the playoffs?
I don't know, something crazy,
I
but
think,
yeah. And
or Patty
so,
is.
well, that's enough talking about that matchup, I think. I think we both agree that Chiefs are going to win that game, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a dogfight. I
Oh,
mean,
it's gonna
that's going
be
to
a
be
great game.
I can't
I'm
wait.
always
I
excited
can't
for the
wait to
Chiefs
watch that
Bills
game.
matchup. Oh my God, they're
I've
so good.
I've been saying this like for about like a month before the playoffs even started. I was saying Patrick Mahomes on the road would be fun to watch. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to watch him play.
I know, yeah. First time ever.
I I mean I don't know. It would really suck if he just like looked lost out there. I don't think that's gonna happen.
He
But it
will.
just feels like a like coming alive game for Mahomes. Like
Yeah.
just having
Th-
dominance on the
This,
road in the playoffs.
this
Like it
game, if
like
he wins this game, like
yeah,
obviously he's him, but like
yeah.
he could like
It just
already be
solidifies it so much more.
he could
It like
already be
it
passing Tom Brady if he
yeah.
wins this game.
Okay. Okay.
Don't shoot,
Calm.
don't
Calm
shoot,
down. Calm
don't
down. Calm
shoot,
down.
don't shoot.
That's crazy you would say that. But yeah, so let's talk about the
Great
other
game.
AFC
Yeah,
teams,
let's go.
the other matchup,
That's what
the
I was
Ravens
about
and
to say.
Texans.
I think the Ravens will pull it out, but I think it's going to
Oh
be a
yeah.
fun game again.
I've got Ravens too.
What's the line at?
Probably like Ravens minus 3.5 or something. That'd be my guess. Maybe like
Um,
even more, maybe like 4.5.
Ravens -9.
9 is
9.
crazy. What?
Texan spread. Here we come. Sorry.
No, I know. Texans plus 9 is that's a safe bet, I feel like.
Yeah.
I I actually didn't even have Texans in this matchup. I had
Really, you had the
I
Browns
had
winning.
Browns winning
I feel like it
because
was kind of 50-50
I was talking
in
about
that
Nate
game.
on this. I said I could see Texans winning. Actually, no, that's not true. I said, bro, the only way the Texans win is if CJ Stroud has the game of his life. And CJ Stroud didn't really have the game of his life, but he
Had a
played
great game.
well enough to give that team enough mojo to
Oh
get
yeah.
them ahead early, and then they just kept it. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't believe what I was watching.
That
I
was
couldn't
a
believe
that
how
was
dominant,
they destroyed them.
I couldn't believe how dominant that offense was against the arguably the
Hmm.
best defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
But
I would say they
they're
are
probably the second. You'd probably still take the Niners,
probably, yeah.
but
They
it's
have
like
way
1A,
too much.
1B, and they just dominated from the very beginning. And so
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, what do we do if Texans get the ball to start off that Ravens game in Baltimore? They go up 7-0. They get hold them to a field goal and they score again. They go out 14-3. I don't think the Ravens are bad enough to just roll over like that, but I'm like, if Texans get off to an early lead, that's a scary team.
Yeah.
That's a scary team.
I'm really excited for this Texans team.
Yeah.
Like coming in the future too.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
next year they'll have Tank Dell back probably at the
They're only
beginning of
gonna
the
draft
season, right?
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They I was so high on CJ Stroud. I thought that he was a better
Same.
prospect than Bryce Young. I still
Same.
felt
I
I
was
understood why the
super
Panthers
high on
went with
him
Bryce Young,
always.
but CJ Stroud always to me was the better prospect just because he was more physically dominant. Like
Hmm.
Bryce Young was always just kind of like smaller, and I would always just was like, CJ Stroud's an athlete, bro. Like he doesn't really play with his athleticism, but I feel like you can just see it in the way he throws.
Yeah.
Like he's just quick with it. Like he's
Yeah.
smart.
No, I know what you
I
mean.
He's smart with the ball. Like he knows how to manage downfield risky throws without making them risky. Like he knows how to give
Yeah.
his receivers a chance without putting it
Obviously.
in harm's way. He doesn't just play passive. He's not like a Jared Goff or like a Kirk Cousins where he doesn't turn the ball over
Hmm.
because he doesn't take risky throws. He knows how to make risky throws without actually making them risky. If that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. It makes sense to me.
He does throw a lot of checkdowns, but who doesn't
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
days? But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. He does like still take risks downfield.
Hmm.
Obviously, with he has Noah Brown, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins. Like
Yeah.
how can you not just throw it downfield with them?
I
All
completely
three of
agree.
them are ballers.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, had no idea who Nico Collins was before this year. Like
That's
I had
crazy.
obviously heard
I
him.
remember you
I
saying that.
I obviously knew the name. I knew Nico Collins, but like I didn't know where he went to college. I didn't know how old he was. I didn't know anything about him. And then he just oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he emerged this
1,400
season.
yards, like 7 touchdowns, like
Uh-huh.
70, 80 catches or something
He
ridiculous.
was
Like
hurt like
dude would
for 3 games
and
too,
yeah,
I
dude
think.
was hurt too. Like
Yeah.
dude was just casually one of the best wide receivers in the NFL this year. Like, where did he
Hmm.
even come from?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. Just
I just got a
out of
notification that
nowhere.
my laptop's low on battery, so I need to get my charger. So I'm gonna let you talk about the Ravens. Talk about the Ravens and what you like about them, and I'll be right back.
All right,
Give me a
bet.
sec.
Let's get to the Ravens roster here. Ravens. Their defense, let's start there. Their defense is amazing. Uh, their offense is amazing. Let's get to the stats. Season. Season stats. Lamar is quietly having one of his best years of all.
Okay, I'm back.
He's
I'm sorry about
just
that.
destroying defenses on the run game and through the air.
Who? Lamar?
Lamar
Yeah, Lamar's him, bro.
just absolutely ruining defenses this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was
Let's see.
talking.
Whole the past three games actually haven't been amazing passing. I mean, obviously,
He had a perfect passer rating in his last game of the season, did he
no,
not?
I know, I know. Against Miami,
Oh,
that they destroyed him. He had 321 passing yards, five passing touchdowns. But before that, it was
yeah,
252, which is solid, and then 171 before that. Eh.
yeah. But yeah, my favorite part about this Ravens team, and that's who I have winning the Super Bowl. I have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl,
Hmm.
is that defense is not only do they play well together, not only are they have a pretty good skill position at or skill player at each position like corner, linebacker, defensive line, safeties, but they not only do they play well together, but that team has game changers.
Yeah,
Like Marlon Humphrey is legit.
he's
Kyle
hurt
Hamilton,
though.
in my
Kyle
is he really
Hamilton
hurt?
is one of the best safeties already in the league. Yeah,
I
Marlon
think Kyle
Humphrey's hurt.
Hamilton is not only the best safety in the league right now, but I think that he's going to be the best safety for the next decade. And I would argue that he's arguably better than any safety in the past decade, other than like maybe Troy Polamalu, who's
Yeah.
an all-time legend.
Uh-huh.
Kyle Hamilton is that good. Back in that draft when like there wasn't a standout QB, there wasn't a standout lineman, there wasn't really anyone standout. And Trayvon Walker went first overall. Some dude who was just a good athlete, played for that crazy good Georgia defense, and he's good in the NFL. First overall
He's
though,
very good.
not a chance. But Kyle Hamilton, I was arguing. I said he should be the first overall pick in that
Yeah,
draft
I
because
remember
he
talking
is
about
that
that.
good.
Yeah.
I've never seen a safety who has his ball hawking ability to be in every play. He's like Luke
Uh-huh.
Kuechly, but 6'4", 200 and 200 pounds and can blitz the QB like he's a defensive lineman. He can play coverage like he's the best corner in the league. And you get that in one player? Like
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
he's
He's
ridiculous.
one of
He
my favorite
is
players in the NFL right now.
he's insane. He's already, I will agree with you that he's already one of the best
I mean, yeah,
safeties
I
in the
honestly don't
league.
think there's an argument for a safety better than him.
Yeah. But like also on their defense, you have Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen.
Bro, Roquan
Um,
Smith, bro, I forget that he's even on that team.
yeah.
Oh my
They
gosh.
have Jadeveon Clowney too.
They're raw. They're so
Michael
good.
Pierce, Marlon Humphrey, Owe,
Bro, they're so legit. Yeah, that's who I have winning the Super
Rocky
Bowl.
Sin, bro. He doesn't
Yeah,
really play, but
I'm gonna have Chiefs versus Ravens, in which I have the Ravens winning that game. Um, I want to believe in Mahomes and him getting another ring. I feel like this is Lamar's year.
yeah. I mean, I've got the Chiefs winning
You
it.
do? You have Chiefs winning? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then NFC Packers versus Niners. I had the
yeah. We
Packers.
haven't even touched NFC.
That's what I had. That's what I had in my
Really,
original bracket preseason. I had Green Bay winning against the Cowboys. I
I
said
did not.
I
I
think
had
the
the
only
Bucks beating
way
the Eagles though.
I had Eagles. I thought there was no way the Eagles fold
They were
against
so
the
bad.
Bucks, who
They
had
were so
only
bad
scored they scored 9 points against the
in
Panthers,
their
bro,
last
in
game.
a
I
must-win
know.
game. So I was like, no
Uh-huh.
way the Eagles. I don't care the Eagles have been bad. No way they lose that game. Not only did they lose,
Frauds.
they looked awful.
Yeah. They
Like
never
that
looked
was
like they were winning that game. Not
and the
once.
announcers, I was watching that game with my dad. I was literally in disbelief at how bad that defense was. And
Yeah.
the announcers were saying
They
every
just got
play, look
ran
at that
through.
missed tackle. They were saying, look at that missed tackle. Sorry that to sound like a broken record, but like this secondary looks clueless. They look like they're unmotivated. They didn't even look like they wanted to be there. And I literally was sitting with my jaw dropped. I'm like, I'm watching Kevin Byard, Shaq Leonard, Darius Slay, the best
One
defensive
of the most
lineman in
loaded.
the best defensive lineman core in the entire NFL, Jordan Davis, Montez Sweat. I mean, Fletcher Cox, literally a first ballot Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
defensive lineman who's still really good. And I'm watching him get shredded by Trey Palmer. Who is Trey Palmer? And why did he
Ray
make y'all look
Palmer.
like you were
And
children?
who was it?
JV players, bro.
David Moore too.
I don't even know. Scotty Miller could have
Exactly.
been playing for all I know, dog. They all looked like Tyreek Hill and prime
Guys.
Mike Evans, bro. That was
Yeah. Yeah,
ridiculous.
like they literally have one of the most loaded defensive rosters in the league. Like
They
they
were literally the
rival the
best defense in the league
49ers.
last year.
Yeah, I know. They rival the 49ers for the most loaded.
Like,
And they just got destroyed. Baker
oh my
sauce.
God.
Baker
Yeah,
was just
Baker,
slinging it.
good game by Baker. Baker should have had a
Great game
better
by
stat
Baker.
line. His receivers dropped a
Mm,
lot of open
yeah.
passes.
No, yeah, they
Bro, there
did.
was so many like first down slant catches that his receivers dropped. And bro, that just shows you how bad the Eagles played, bro, because the Bucks didn't even play good and they still won by like 4 possessions, bro. That
Uh-huh.
was ridiculous.
No.
Like I couldn't believe what I was watching. That was insane. And the second that they went down by more than a touchdown, I literally was like, they're gonna clear house this offseason.
Mm,
Nick Sirianni, goodbye. Whoever their offensive coordinator is, bye.
see ya.
Their defensive coordinator, bye.
See ya.
All gone. Because we've seen what the Chargers did with Brandon Staley. They let him stay way too long.
Yeah,
And now
way
they are even
for
in
so
a
long.
they went from one of the better positions, found their QB, have loads of talent around them, signed people. You play in Los Angeles, you play in a pretty
Yeah.
big market, even though you're not the better
Massive market.
Los Angeles team. The Rams
Yeah.
are the better Los Angeles team, but you still play in a big enough market to where you can be competitive. But your head coach ruined that team. The Chargers are arguably in the worst spot out of any NFL team for future wise, and they
Yeah.
have Justin Herbert. That's how bad Brandon
Exactly.
Staley was.
They're terrible.
And
He
I
was
think
the
the
worst.
Eagles, yeah, and I think the Eagles are not gonna let that happen. I think they're gonna get rid of Nick Sirianni. I don't know when they are. It could be a month or two from now before they fire
Yeah.
him, but I think that he's gone.
You
I
think
think
he goes
both
before the
coordinators are
season
gone
start?
too. I think before the preseason, all
Yeah.
three will be gone because
I
there's no way you
personally
start
think they'll
10 and
keep
1 and there's no way you lose 6 out of 7 and there's no way you lose 3 weeks straight against the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants again. There's no way.
yeah.
There's no excuse.
I think they'll keep Nick for another year unless they like have an atrocious start to next season. But I think they keep him.
Yeah.
But I think both OC and DC go. Who's it?
Yeah,
Matt
that's a very good
Patricia
possibility
and
too. I want to say his last name's Johnson, offensive coordinator. I don't know.
I don't know.
But also, because we're talking about the Eagles, shout out Jonathan Gannon, head coach for the Cardinals. He was the offensive coordinator last year for the
Yeah.
Eagles. That dude's a stud.
Uh-huh.
That dude is going to, I think
Yeah,
the
I
Cardinals
like
will
him.
be very competitive next year. I think that they low key
I
make the
don't think very
playoffs.
competitive, but they could
I
like
think they'll make the playoffs.
have
I
a
think they could be like the
chance at the
Seahawks,
playoffs.
kind of were last year and kind of this year, how like they'll be in the hunt, kind of like the Seahawks,
Yeah.
win some good games.
Yeah.
If they have a good draft, I think that there's a really good possibility. Because, bro,
Uh-huh.
I mean, Kyler Murray, I think is legit. I think that Trey McBride was well, and I think that offensive
I
coordinator
love Trey
or their head
McBride.
coach now, Jonathan Gannon, I think he's legit enough to make them competitive.
Trey
So,
McBride like reminds me of a more athletic Travis Kelce.
really,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Like
fair.
Travis Kelce isn't
I don't
really
really know a
that
lot about Trey McBride.
athletic. Like
Yeah,
he's obviously athletic, but he's not like ridiculous talent. He has great vision and control of his body
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that he can get out of tackles so easily and like his little catch and just spin out and the defender just flies by him. But Trey
Yeah.
McBride has ups. There were like two or three
Really,
catches where Kyler just absolutely airballed it, and he went up like way over the defender and
that's
caught it.
fire. Yeah, I don't really watch. I don't really know a lot about Trey McBride's game. I just know that he was a fantasy goon, like one of the best
Oh,
pickups of the year. But it was back to that matchup, Niners Packers. I think Niners win very handedly. I wonder what that line's
yeah,
at.
I agree.
It could be at 14. Even though I've seen some people that think the
No chance.
Packers are gonna pull it off, and I'm like,
That's also
I just can't see
Niners
it.
-9.
You might want to sprinkle Packers +9 because there is a world where they make that a game because their offense is that good. But dude,
Nah.
that defense, oh,
Yeah.
their defense stinks.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs, that was the worst defense. I mean, maybe other than the Rams, because that Rams defense was so
The
young and
Rams
so
defense was the
underprepared. They
worst in
played
the
well.
playoffs. They
They played well,
did
low
in the
key, like
second
shout
half.
out.
Yeah, in the second
Yeah, in the
half they
second half,
played
but
well.
bro, that first half they couldn't get a stop, bro.
No.
The Lions scored like three out of the four possessions, and they only had four
Yeah.
possessions because the Rams were just they couldn't really move the ball. They were just getting third down every time.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, that Packers defense, really the only reason why that Packers defense didn't get spotlighted for how bad they were was because the Cowboys shot themselves in the foot after after the Packers got to an early lead. So it just
Yeah.
didn't look that good. But bro, that second half,
Cow
Packers weren't doing anything on
yeah,
defense, bro. Like,
I know.
and
But
the Niners
also
are just
like
going to be
they
way too
had it in the
much.
bag. It was 27
Yeah,
to 0. Like
that is fair. Yeah,
they're not
twenty-seven
coming
seven
back
is
from that.
crazy. Yeah. But I just think the Niners are significantly better than the Cowboys, and that just won't really be a game.
Yeah, I don't
But
I think
there's a chance, I
I
guess.
think the Niners mollywop them. I think they just
Yeah.
run through them. Purdy probably has two touchdowns.
I think Purdy's gonna have a
McCaffrey
crazy
probably has
game.
like two touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think they just destroy them.
Yeah. I think Niners mollywop and then Bucks Lions. I'm gonna have
I
Lions
think
winning that game,
I've
but I
got
like
Lions
low
minus
key I
six
want
and
the
a
Bucks
half.
to win, and there's a good chance that the Bucks win that game.
I
But
mean,
no matter
Baker is
who wins
cooking.
that game, no matter who wins that game, they're just gonna get steamrolled by the
Yeah.
Niners or the Packers.
The
I
Niners
think
were
both the
my
Niners and the Packers steamroll whoever they face.
the Niners were my original Super Bowl winner at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season.
Yeah. I hate to say it because I think it's no fun, but I had Ravens Niners, and those were like the obvious answers,
Yeah.
and they were both the one seeds, but we've never really seen both one seeds make the Super Bowl in a while. But this year I think is different because all the competing teams all had a missing problem or like
Yeah.
something that they're like not like they were missing a key aspect.
Uh,
Both the Ravens and Niners have no flaws.
no,
Really, the
like
only flaw that the Ravens have is that they don't have a good running back, but they
yeah,
have Lamar
they have
Jackson
Lamar
and they
Jackson,
have one of the
one of
best
the best
rushing
running
attacks
backs
in
in
the
the
league,
league.
anyways.
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
you don't have no idea who Keaton Mitchell is or Melvin Ingram is like on that team, but like also
Well,
doesn't
Keaton
play. Like,
Keaton Mitchell tore his ACL, just
who even is their
destroyed
running
his
back?
knee.
J.K.
Justice
Dobbins
Hill.
hurt, Keaton Mitchell. Just who is
Justice
Justice
Hill
Hill,
was
bro?
like number 3 the
Who's
whole
Justice?
year.
No, I know, but
He was
That's
above
my
Keaton
point.
Mitchell originally.
Is they have one of the best rushing attacks, and you have no idea who
Yeah,
their running backs are. So it's not
yeah,
even a flaw.
but
And then
it's
the
still
Niners' flaw
good.
is Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy was an MVP candidate. So it's like at the real, it's like maybe they have flaws, but like at the same time, they're flawless. Like those
Hmm.
teams are just significantly better than everyone else.
Yeah, realistically, like I don't see anybody else except them in the Super Bowl. Like I would love to see the Chiefs make it there, but like obviously
Yeah,
we haven't been amazing this year. Also, did you see that the Cowboys are keeping Mike McCarthy?
I did see that,
Yeah,
which
they're
makes me
sticking
even
with
more
him,
think that they're going to do something ridiculous in the draft. I think
which
that there's a world where they
makes
move off Dak,
so is Bill
which is
going
so
to the
funny.
Chargers now?
Who
Bill Belichick.
going to the Chargers? You think?
Yeah.
There's a good
Or the
possibility. Watching
Falcons?
Herbert and Belichick would be
Imagine
fire,
that.
bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
I I want him to go to the Chargers, even though they're divisional rivals. Like
yeah,
that would be cool.
that would be a good fit. I I don't think Dak Prescott's the problem. I think Dak Prescott played a good game against the Packers, even though he
Dak
threw a pick
sucks.
six. Okay.
He's
I don't think Dak sucks. I don't
he
think Dak's
stinks.
great. I don't think he's like this crazy elite quarterback. I think he's more mid on Kirk Cousins range than he is on like Jalen Hurts or like one of the better QBs in the league kind of range.
I would say Kirk Cousins is better than him.
I would probably still take Dak, but that's close. But I don't think that he's necessarily the problem. But I think that I don't know. I know the Cowboys don't really go out and make risky plays, but they have the ability to. And I think that this playoffs this year really falling apart like that after winning the division,
Yeah,
after being a top team all year, having MVP candidate, CeeDee Lamb looked like the best receiver in the league this year,
he
and they
was.
still couldn't win a playoff game. I think they're going to make something big. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to trade away Dak Prescott and draft Caleb Williams.
Whoa,
I don't
that's
know.
not
That's not going
happening.
to happen. But
Nope.
I'm just saying, if they go out and make some kind of crazy play or something, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they suck. They're just gonna do
You
the
don't even know
same
what to
thing
say to
next
that.
year. They're just gonna do the
Yeah.
same thing next year. They'll be good in the regular season and they'll lose in the wild card. Or who knows, they have an
Yep.
amazing regular season. They get the one seed, make it to the divisional round, and then lose in the divisional round.
True. To the Niners.
I hate the Cowboys.
That's very valid. I
Yeah.
remember when everybody was thinking it was going to be KC and Dallas because they like released that like color graphic thing and everybody was freaking out.
Mhm.
That's besides the point. Okay. Yeah.
Enough with the NFL. Let's talk
Yes.
NBA.
Let's get it.
And I want to
What do you want to
start
talk about?
out with saying that my Thunder are going to go far in the playoffs. We are a great team. Oh, that Thunder Clippers game last night, that was an epic game. That was so
That was a
fun to
fire game for
watch.
me because I'm not a Clippers fan. I don't want to get that twisted, but James Harden and Kawhi
You're
Leonard
a
are my
Clippers fan.
favorite players, like of
I
all
know.
time, and they're both
I
on the
know.
same team. So like I basically am a Clippers fan because of
Yeah.
that. And it was so satisfying watching the team that I like try and follow the most, root for, win against the top team that won against them previously. So,
Hmm.
and I loved watching Kawhi play last night. I loved watching him not even play all that good and still be the best player on the court.
Yeah. He's a
Um,
baller.
even
He made
over,
some
even
great
over Shea.
plays.
I
Shea
think
didn't have a
Kawhi's,
great game.
yeah, he didn't have the best, was still good though. He was still hitting some crazy mid ranges.
Yeah, it was. Like
Um,
always.
But yeah, I think Kawhi Leonard is one of the most disrespected players in the NBA at the moment. That's a little biased,
Yeah.
but I do think when at the end of the day, when it comes down to defensive value, out of just being straight up clamps, I'm not talking about rim protecting. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about when it comes to guarding the best scorer on the other person's team, Kawhi
He's
Leonard is going to step up, play defense every possession, and he's going to clamp.
He's
every
the best at.
possession.
He is the best at it.
Other than Giannis, I think he's the most valuable defensive player in the league. Like
I
that, in my personal opinion.
I definitely think that Kawhi is just the best
Yeah,
defender.
yeah.
I
He
think he's
if
the best.
not
He's
the
so
best,
good.
he's up there.
You
Yeah,
saw it yesterday too. Like he was putting
that
locks
block on
on
Shea
both
was
Shea.
gross.
He
That was
was putting
disgusting.
locks on Chet a couple of plays.
Yeah,
He was
he can guard 1 through 5
putting locks on
at
Jalen
elite at all of them.
Williams, bro.
Yeah,
He was
he's
just,
legit.
yeah,
Um,
he's a baller.
when talking about dark horse, like NBA final or like playoff pushes, who are like some dark horse teams that you're like high on?
I like I like the Magic. They're a fun
Yeah.
team. I really
Ooh.
they
Don't get me
they've
started with Bankero, bro.
they're
I
they're kind
love
of
Paulo.
in a similar situation as the Thunder. Not quite to the extent
Yeah.
of the Thunder, both like
Good
team
direction.
right now and draft picks in the future.
Yeah.
Because the Thunder, this is like unheard of. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're a really exciting team, and I like a lot of their
Yeah.
players.
Franz Wagner, still one of the most underrated players in the league somehow, even though he
Hmm.
was on pace to be an all-star this year.
Yep,
Before he kind of had some injury bugs. I don't know if he's still playing right now. As of right now, it's January 17th when we're recording this. I don't know if he's been playing or not. I haven't been following all that closely,
let's go
but
look.
I will
Yeah, I
tell you
really
this.
only follow like when the Thunder
Banchero's
play.
legit. He's been one of the best players in the league this year, and it's been very satisfying to watch because I was super high on him out of college. I thought watching him play on Duke in that tournament, he was just made for the NBA, and he's been aging like fine wine in the NBA. So
Yeah, they've actually been pretty yucky recently. They've only
yeah, I was gonna say
won
they definitely cooled
they've
off.
only
They
won
they
like
were on
three
fire.
games in their last 10.
Yeah, but
They played a good game
yeah.
against the Thunder though the other night.
Yeah, they
We
did.
only beat
We
them by
almost went
two.
to that game. Some of the people from
Yeah.
Bedsheet, we almost went to that
Uh-huh.
game. I was kind of sad that we didn't because I wanted to see
I
Chet versus
remember
Paulo.
looking at that and like the beginning stages of planning that like over Christmas.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, but it's unfortunate. I do want to
Yeah.
get a Chet Holmgren City Connect jersey. That would be so tough. Chet's so good.
I
He's
need to
already
get a
one of the best
Shea. I
defensive.
think Shea
Already.
is one of my favorite players, like of all
Yeah,
time. Out of
he's
any
smooth,
teams that I've
bro.
supported, he's one of my
Oh,
favorite
he's so
players of all
smooth.
time.
We'll talk about this on a later segment,
Yeah,
even though there's not much to say about it anymore, because I think conversation's kind of closed itself. But I do want to talk about best player on the Thunder in a couple years, Chet versus Shea, because I do think
that,
that there still is an argument
yeah,
for Chet to be the better player. But as of right now, Shea has kind of made it clear that he will be the better player just because he's asserting himself as MVP favorite at one point, like a couple
yeah,
weeks ago. I think Embiid's probably the betting favorite right now,
dude.
but
At like
there was a
two
point where
weeks ago or three
Shea
weeks
was the
ago,
best.
yeah, Shea was leading the league
Yeah,
in steals. He was like top five
efficiency.
in points. He was probably number one in efficiency. He
Yeah,
had like the one of I think like top five or top 10 free throw percentages. He had like
I mean,
a
yeah,
top 25 3-point percentage.
yeah. It's yeah. He's been legit
Yeah.
for a while, and this year he's just really kind of solidifying himself.
Hmm.
But so we'll talk about it on a later date. So I don't want to talk too much about the Thunder, but yeah,
Yeah.
Chet
Yeah.
Holmgren's
We'll
also
have like
him.
a whole episode for the Thunder.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, another team I want to give flowers to because a year, I was a year too early. The Timberwolves. I know they're not dark horse. I know we said dark horse earlier. They're not dark horse because
No.
they're legit. They're one of the best teams in the NBA. But I was a year too early on them. I thought that they were going to be a lot better last year, and they looked awful. And now they're really good this year.
Now
So I was
they're
just a year too
amazing.
early. That's all
Uh-huh.
it was. They just needed an off season to test out the Cat Gobert Twin Tower kind of thing that they were going for, having both two centers kind of at the same time. They
Yeah.
needed to figure out the kinks, and they did.
And
And
they
not only
did.
that, but Anthony Edwards,
Took a step.
not only was he already one of the better scorers in the NBA, but he took a huge step, and he's
Yeah.
been, I mean, I would go as far as to say I would take him over Shea at the moment, personally, just because I
I
think he's
I'm
more
I'm
raw of a
complete
scorer.
completely fine with that debate.
Yeah,
That's a
and
good
he's
debate.
better defensively, I think, even though Shea is really good defensively. He's slept on and he gets the steals.
I don't
I
know
think
if
just the
Anthony
bigger
Edwards is
body,
better than Shea defensively.
that's
I
fair.
think
That's a fair argument to have.
that's one of Shea's specialties. He's a ridiculous defender. At least
I
this
guess
year.
that's
At
fair.
least this
I
year.
think that's fair. I think I would rather have Anthony Edwards as a defender when it comes down to like crunch time when he's like actually having to play serious defense. I think
Yeah.
maybe he's a little bit more lackadaisical during the regular season, but I think his athleticism there is just outmatched when it compared to Shea because Anthony Edwards is one of the best athletes in the NBA right now. And I would just rather have that, I feel like. But Shea, like you said, he's leading the league in steals and he's still a very good defender. But I think just watching, I would probably have Anthony Edwards at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue it
That's
because
that's
there
Anthony
is no,
Edwards is
yeah,
he's so good. He's also
yeah,
so fun to watch.
oh
He's so
yeah,
electric.
bro,
Remember when we watched his like a dunk compilation and
oh yeah,
it was like just
obviously.
hundreds of dunks from him and
It
they're
was like a
all
30-minute
video.
video of him dunking. Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Uh-huh.
it was like peep Anthony Edwards best dunks. And it was like a 30-minute video. I was like, what? I'm like,
It
this
was a
dude's been in the league
30-minute
for like
video
two or
and
three years.
they never like showed a replay. Like they would
Yeah,
just show the dunk once and then go
crazy.
on to the next one.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so Timberwolves are legit. That's a team that I think worth mentioning. One team I
Definitely.
do want to discuss real quick
Definitely.
that has been one of the I actually don't know if it's one of, it might be the most disappointing team, in my opinion. Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to be contenders, like
same.
legit contenders with the Celtics, Sixers, Bucks.
I was
They're
betting on
not
them a
good,
lot
bro.
and
Yeah,
I
last year they were
stopped.
one of my favorite teams to bet on. And it's so sad because they have talent at every position.
Oh,
They've got a
they've got
good
talent
bit of
everywhere.
depth, but they can't win. They can't play together.
I
And
know.
you have one of the best front courts, or you have one of the best back courts with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and you have Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, two of the best bigs, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have Gabe Vincent. Is that his name? Or did they get?
Karis LeVert.
That's Gabe Vincent though, right? Who they picked up? Or am I thinking of
No.
who's the other dude? What's his name? Max Juice? Is that who they got? They got one
Who?
of those two. They got one of the Heat players who's like good at he was like a solid role
Oh
player.
yeah, they got Max. Yeah.
Max Strus? Okay, I forgot his name because they were like both so similar. But they had and Karis LeVert, like they had good players,
Mm-hmm.
but they're they're like they might not even make the playoffs. I feel like they're just not that good.
They'll make the playoffs.
I mean, for
I'm
what
pretty sure
though?
they're
At
like
what cost?
fifth in the East.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're not that bad.
Wait, hold on. I gotta be tripping.
They're
Um,
fourth in
are
the
they
East.
really?
Yeah.
No way.
Above
They
the
must be doing
Knicks,
really.
Heat,
They must be.
Pacers, Magic, Bulls, Hawks, Nets, Raptors.
I mean, yeah, but those teams aren't good anyways.
Yeah,
Like the East is just weak, but I thought that they were like actually going to be like a scary
that's
team to like
true. The
take
East is
notice of.
very top heavy, but yeah,
Yeah, no, I still stand by what I said because watching them play, or at least they should be better. No matter how good they are right now, they need to be better
yeah.
because Evan Mobley, he was my pick preseason to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he
Really?
is he's in that conversation still. I feel like he's that good defensively, like
Then
he's so legit, but. Again, like I don't know. It's just I feel like either one game they're losing and Donovan Mitchell is 50 and then they'll win by like a couple points and everybody on the team played decent. Like it's just hard. Like they can't be an
yeah.
explosive dominant team, I feel like. It's just I don't know.
You know who's having a sneaky good season? The Pelicans.
I've always been high on the Pelicans. I love Brandon Ingram and Zion. They're
Like,
so good.
yeah,
They're
they're
so
good,
talented.
but like I just feel like I would not expect that team to be above some of the teams that they are
That is
above.
fair. That is fair. The thing
Like
is
who are they
that
above? They're
Zion
above the
hasn't.
Magic, or they're
Yeah,
above the Mavericks, Kings, Suns, Lakers,
they're ahead of
Warriors,
the
Rockets.
Suns.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think the thing that's funny about them is that none of their players are really playing up to their ceilings either. I feel like CJ
Yeah.
McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion have all just been kind of
I
decent.
really
I
haven't
feel
been
like we've seen.
following
I feel
them
like we've.
at
I feel like
all.
we've seen better versions of Zion. Or not feel. I know we've seen better versions of Zion in the NBA. We've seen better versions of BI. Even though Brandon Ingram has been like he's been getting his buckets this year. And
He's
CJ
averaging
McCollum, he's
21, get
yeah,
21
yeah.
points a game.
Like none of them have been playing bad, but none of them have been playing at the ceilings that we know they can play at. And
Uh-huh.
so that could be a team where if they're playing hot at the end of the season, they got hot at the right time. Look out. That's all I'm gonna
Valanciunas
say.
is like a really good
Valanciunas
center
is
too.
he's good. He's
He's
good.
kind of been passed around, I feel like,
Uh-huh.
but like he always
Yeah.
puts a shift in wherever he's at.
Also, Trey Murphy, that's one of the best role players in the league. That's one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. He is. Role players. He's one of the better role players, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
he's
is really good.
efficient. He's an efficient shooter and plays lockdown defense.
Hmm.
He's a defensive player of the year candidate. Like
Yeah,
he legitimately
yeah.
is. Like
No, he is.
he's very valuable to that team.
Yeah.
And if they went on a playoff run, he would probably be one of the big reasons why.
I wonder
So
who's leading the league in steals right now.
probably Shea.
Let's go. Hello?
Don't tell me it's Lou Dort. Dort's a chamber.
Defensive leader. Blocks, Chet is tied for fourth. Steals, Shea is number
Yeah,
one. And
yeah,
like well in first.
yeah. I was gonna say he's probably averaging a whole steal more than second
He's
place.
averaging point 0.4 steals more than D Mitch. Shea's averaging
Mitch is number
2.3 a
two on
game.
steals.
D Mitch is number two. Kawhi is three. Anthony
Whoa.
Melton is four. And Paul George is five.
I had no idea D Mitch was like that.
Yeah.
Okay, D Mitch.
That's
You still
steals
probably
per
get
game,
sauce
not
though.
steals in total, by the way.
Nah, yeah. Steals per game. That sounds about right. Um, I feel like we're good on the NBA for now
Yeah,
because I do want to talk about.
same. I
This
want to
is the
talk
segment
about
I'm
some of
looking the
these wide
most forward to.
receivers.
These NFL draft prospect wide receivers for the 2024 draft
Yeah.
class.
Especially
Um,
because like the Chiefs need a wide receiver.
yeah,
I
and
would
I've
I
got
would
I've, I've
love to get
got
another young guy.
I love talking wide receivers. I feel like that's one of my
Same.
it might be like one of my best qualities. I love talking about wide receivers because I feel
I
like
wouldn't say it's one of my
I
best
always
qualities, especially college players, because like I've never really followed college until
yeah.
like recent years when KU started to like look more promising,
Mhm.
and now we're actually good. So I follow it, but
Yeah. I
I'm
don't know.
new
I feel like
to it.
I'm always pretty good at like predicting
Yeah,
like how to get out of the then again, recent years it's been a little bit easier. Like it's hard to
it
miss on Jamar
has.
Chase. It's hard to
Yeah,
miss on like
Devonte
Debo
Smith.
Samuel. Like yeah, it's like hard to miss on
Yeah.
those kind of guys. But I'm very excited to talk about these wide receivers. So we kind of touched a little bit on the NFL playoffs. We touched a little bit on the NBA just as a whole. I'm excited to
Hmm.
talk about the NBA in the future, but for now we're going to talk
Definitely.
about wide receiver rankings.
It's a fun year.
Um,
It's a
yeah.
fun year in the NBA.
So first off, let's address the elephant in the room when it comes to this draft class. Marvin Harrison Jr. He will be the first receiver taken without a
Obviously.
doubt.
I love how many
He's
big receivers there are, or tall
that
receivers, I should say.
there. This receiving class, that I honestly think we'll see like 6 or 7 receivers taken in the first round, and
It's
like all of
pretty
them are
electric.
legit prospects. They're like there's so many
That's
good
my
ones this
favorite
year.
prospect too.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
I
didn't get
think
that, did you?
no. I was like, did you just try
Leggett
to make a joke?
or Leggett, however you say his name. Xavier Leggett, South
Oh,
Carolina. He's one of my
yeah.
favorite guys in
He
the
is
draft
legit.
class.
He
He's
is legit.
crazy. He's so
Yeah,
fast. And he's six
yeah.
foot four, 220.
I did I went and looked in at some of the other guys that I like wasn't so familiar with. Like I don't think a lot of people are familiar with Leggett out of
Yeah,
South Carolina. Um,
ridiculous numbers too.
but he's actually legit. He's very good. Um, but yeah, when it comes to Marvin Harrison, he will be first selected, and he's gonna have the label of being this generational wide receiver. And in some respects, he is that good. But
No, no, he
my
is.
the way that I'm looking at him is I think Malik Neighbors is on his level, if not better.
I fully agree. I love Neighbors.
I mean, Neighbors, it kind of feels like when Jamar Chase got drafted fifth overall, we were kind of like, okay, crazy athletic receiver,
Uh-huh.
has the numbers to back it up,
Yeah,
played on a high-powered offense. Malik Neighbors feels like the
put up the
same kind of
numbers.
prospect as Jamar Chase, and he
Yeah.
put up those numbers. I'm not going to say Malik Neighbors is going to be Jamar Chase because they kind of have a little bit different play styles. I'd say Jamar Chase is more stocky, kind of like yards after the catch kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
Than Neighbors is. I'd say Neighbors is a little bit more shifty, but I think Neighbors is honestly, I'm probably more high on Neighbors ceiling wise than Marvin Harrison. I think Marvin Harrison's gonna have the better rookie year. I think Marvin Harrison's the safer pick because he's gonna have a significantly higher floor. I think Marvin Harrison floor wise, I
I
think his
think
rookie season he'll be a top 25 receiver right away.
I
But
agree.
ceiling
I
wise,
think
I
he'll
would
be
probably take Neighbors. Like Neighbors
he's
has that kind of potential.
he does. But I don't know. The
It's tough. They're both so good. But
I'm higher on
I don't
Marvin
think the gap
Harrison,
between the
but it's
two
really
is I don't think
easy
the
to be
gap is that different.
higher on Marvin Harrison just because everybody is. But I really, really like Neighbors too.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah, that's all I
Marvin
wanted to say. I
Harrison's
don't
going to
think
be
the
something
gap is that
special.
I don't think the gap is that significant personally,
Yeah.
but they're both crazy special. They'll both there's a world where Marvin Harrison gets taken top three and or top four, I should say, because he'll either go one to the Bears or to the Cardinals. Um, but he'll be drafted in that range. And there's a world where the Chargers, even though they're probably gonna take Brock Bowers, I feel like that's who they're gonna take. But there is a
Yeah.
world where they take Malik Neighbors instead. So
That would be crazy.
yeah, I've seen some mock drafts with Brock Bowers. I've seen some with Malik Neighbors. Either way, they're both going to be. I think that that's one A, one B,
Yeah.
um, or if not A, B. Um, the third one, I think we'll both probably have Rome Odunze. I assume that's who you have at number three. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the
I
consensus
don't
top
really
three in
have
that order.
like a
Harrison,
specific
Neighbors.
list, but yeah, he
Yeah,
would be my three.
and Odunze is very good. But he is a little skeptical to me because he is a little bit small, or at least when I watch him play, he looks a
Uh-uh.
little bit smaller. I don't
Odunze
know.
is not small.
I mean, he's still 6 foot, right? How tall
Six
is he?
foot
6 foot?
6'3", 215.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm tripping then. When I was watching him in both the Texas and in the Michigan game, he wasn't playing big at all. He just kind of looked like a small
He
kind of
doesn't.
gadget guy.
Yeah, that is kind of how he plays, but
Okay.
he is a bigger guy.
Okay,
That's kind of
that's fair
how
then.
what's his name? Malachi Corley is. He isn't tall, but
Okay.
he's 5'11", 210.
Yeah.
Like he's like a running back almost, 5'11", two
Yeah.
ten. But
Yeah.
he's an animal. He's another guy that I really like. He'll probably be a
Yeah.
later round guy, but he's
Mhm.
solid out of Western
Yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I know that Ndunze is legit. I know that he is good, but that would be probably my one skeptical thing is that he didn't really look super physical against Michigan. Not saying they have to
Yeah.
be physical when you play wide receiver because you can be like a Devontae Smith and you don't have to play physical and you could still just be very efficient and good.
Mm.
But that would be one thing that when I watch him play, I just feel like he's not making those contested grabs or he's not making those physical plays. Um, but he is, I mean, he'll be selected top 15.
Oh
He's
yeah,
legit.
for
I
sure.
mean, there's a reason why he put up the stats he did. I mean, I mean,
Uh-huh.
read off his yards per game. What was he? He was almost
Neighbors.
averaging 100. No, Odunze.
Oh, Adunze was 109. Out of
Yeah,
out of this draft class, he had the second highest yards per game
yeah, behind Neighbors,
behind
right? Neighbors
Neighbors.
had
Yeah.
120. Yeah, which
Next,
Malik Neighbors averaging 120 receiving yards a game is crazy. That's insane.
the two next people and yards per game are really interesting. You have Troy Franklin from Oregon, and then you
Yeah,
have Xavier Leggett or Legit. I don't know how you say his
nah,
name, but I love him.
I don't know either.
He's
I think it's legit. Leggett. I think it's Leggett.
Leggett, yeah, probably
We'll
something
go
like
with
that.
that.
But he was
Or
averaging
Baggett.
104 per game.
Yeah,
He had 1,250 yards on the season. He only had 7 touchdowns though, which is only the only
I
iffy
don't think
part
you got to
of
worry
his
about that
season.
though. He looks like a Debo Samuel kind of guy, in my opinion. When I was watching him, he reminded me so
He's
much of Debo Samuel.
he's
Just a big,
massive too.
fast
Yeah,
dude. No, just a
so
big,
fast.
fast, physical gadget kind of slot, but can win outside because he's just that physically dominant kind of
Yeah.
guy.
Have you
And
watched his
I saw a
highlights?
lot. No, I did today
Yeah,
to prepare for this segment because I wanted
crazy.
to. I knew the top five guys pretty well, but I wanted to talk more about the lower guys too. And
Same.
he was
Yeah,
one of the guy who was like in that like 7, 8 range, kind of like on the
exactly.
rankings.
That's the range
And
that I care
he,
about too, because that's like around where the Chiefs will be pulling from.
uh, I do think the Chiefs are going to take someone different. We'll talk about him in a second. I know who you'll know who I'm going to talk about
Yeah,
here in a second, but
which I don't really
Leggett,
know much about him.
Leggett reminds me a lot of Debo Samuel. That guy's legit. Whoever
Hmm.
gets him late first round, early second round, potentially even mid to late second round, is gonna get a steal because he's legit.
Yeah.
He's very good. Um, but I don't want to go unsaid because who I have right behind Odunze, I don't know if you're gonna have him. I have Brian Thomas Jr.
See,
That
I've like
that
never paid
dude out
attention
of
to him.
LSU is so
But
good. He's so
oh,
good.
this is the guy when we were watching the neighbors
Yes.
highlights, and I
And we
was
were
like,
watching, no, we were watching
oh my
Jaden
God.
Daniels highlights,
Or Jaden
Heisman
Daniels.
highlights,
Yeah.
and we were watching the plays his receivers were making, and we were watching neighbors, and we saw the wide receiver too,
Yeah.
Brian
I
Thomas
was like,
Jr.,
wait
and
a
we were
second.
like, damn,
I didn't even
that
process
dude
because like
is so cold.
I've been seeing the mock drafts of the Chiefs drafting him. Like that's the guy that they're picking. And like I didn't even process that. I was like, who is this guy? Like he's from LSU. Okay, solid,
Yes,
cool.
bro.
But like neighbors.
Brian
And
Thomas
then
Jr.,
oh my
he's
God.
6'4", 220. Is he 220? 217 or
He's
something like that? Look that up.
which is exactly I love big receivers.
He's a
He's
big receiver, but
6'4", 205. So
oh,
a
only
skinnier
205.
guy, but
Only 205s. No,
I mean
but when
for
you
six
look at
foot
him,
four in the
he's not
NFL, that's
skinny.
skinny.
He's not skinny.
Yeah.
I think he's just lean. He's ridiculous. He's big, physical, and he's got some of the best highlight tapes or film, like
Dude.
best looking film on the eyes out of anyone in this draft class. Maybe other than behind Marvin Harrison and Neighbors. Like he
Yeah.
might have better film than Adunze. Like
He's
he's
a
that
baller.
legit. He's physical. He can catch the ball downfield. Maybe not the best route runner. I wouldn't say he's the best route runner, but just because he's so
Yeah.
big, it's hard to be a good route runner when you're that size.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a problem. And I've seen a lot of mock drafts where the Chiefs get him at 22.
Yeah.
That would be
I mean, I would be fine with that.
I don't want to imagine a world where they have Mahomes throwing to that guy. That would be ridiculous. Um,
Oh my God. If we don't get him, we have to get T. Higgins
I know. Or both.
or both. I mean, hey.
Just
But
just
honestly,
go all in. They don't
I
need
would
both
rather not
because they got
have both.
receivers.
Yeah, I
But
love
yeah,
Rashi.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
so good.
But
Putting up
then
numbers second half of the season too.
yeah,
Sorry.
he had a crazy good playoff game. You're good. Um, I would say my wide receiver five, maybe arguably our wide receiver four, Keon Coleman at
Yeah.
FSU. One thing I do want to say about Keon Coleman is even though he had a good season at Florida State, he might have been a better receiver at Michigan State in the previous year. I was watching film on
I
both seasons
agree.
because both teams used him very differently. FSU used him more as like a big body kind of jump ball receiver, where
Hmm.
Michigan kind of used him more as a playmaker, like yards after the catch kind of guy,
Yeah,
in which I thought he was significantly more of a safer, sound all around receiver on Michigan State as a younger, more inexperienced player.
I agree.
So
I think he
that's,
was better at Michigan State.
yeah, I think that's the only concern for me with him is that if he goes to a team where they're just going to use him as this dummy jump ball, like just use him as a big body, throw him outside kind of guy, he's not
Hmm.
going to be that good. I
Yeah.
he's still going to be because he's that raw of an athlete to where he still will put up numbers doing that because he's just good. But if he gets put on a team where they know how to use him, have him run other routes where they can excel and use that athleticism for
Hmm.
plays on the run and after the catch, I think that he could very easily be one of the best rookies right away, at least. Like I think
He
he's
has a
ready.
lot of upside. I would
Yeah,
agree on that.
yeah,
I could see him being one of those guys that doesn't really emerge until the second or third season, but
yeah.
like be like pretty solid his first year.
Mm.
But
Like I'm higher on
I
him than
think
I
his
was Quentin
upside.
Johnston. I'm
Yeah.
higher on him than I
He's
was on
young
Quentin
too,
Johnston.
dude.
Yeah, I know.
He's
I never was high on Quentin Johnston though
he's one of
because
three 20-year-olds in the draft class for wide
yeah,
receivers.
I the reason why I was never high on Quentin Johnston was because he didn't show any signs of being a decent receiver. He was
Hmm.
just a crazy athlete and could take
Crazy
advantage
athlete.
of his athleticism on a college level.
Yeah.
This is not the case for Keon Coleman. He's actually talented. And
Yeah.
that's why this draft class
He's
is so
good.
legit because not only does this draft class just have good receivers and it's like depth wise, but there's so many different unique abilities and specialties of each receiver. So it's like if you're a team that needs
Uh-huh.
a physically dominant receiver, you can get that. If you need a deep threat, you can get that. If you need to go out and just get a guy who can have really good contested catches, you can go out and get that. This
Yeah.
receiving class
There
has
are
everything.
so many options to choose
Yeah.
from.
Obviously,
How,
we're gonna have to see how they age down the line,
yeah.
but I think that this can be one of the best receiving classes in for years to come.
How do you like the Texas receivers?
They're good. I like okay, they're good in perspective to how good the other ones are. So they're still
Hmm.
very, very good
Yeah.
and talented, and they're very good prospects. But they are lower on my list. I think
Hmm.
Mitchell is more of a how do you say his first name? Adonai?
Yeah. Adonai
Adonai?
Mitchell.
Adonai
Adonai.
Mitchell. I think
Adonai. Yeah.
he's more of just kind of a Jameson Williams type guy where he's just going to be used more as a deep threat.
Hmm.
And I'm not super high on that because I think teams are just going to use him to stretch the
Same.
field rather than actual production wise out of him.
I
Kind of like how
don't
the
like
Lions
him.
are using Jameson Williams.
Hmm.
Um, so that's how I feel about Adonai Mitchell. I don't know much about the other receiver. I'm not gonna lie. What was his last name?
Xavier
Williams?
Worthy.
Worthy.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
that
higher on him than Adonai Mitchell.
I was gonna
I mean,
say,
I don't think he'll like be better in the NFL, but like I just
yeah,
like Xavier Worthy more than Adonai Mitchell.
that's fair.
He puts up
I,
numbers against
I was gonna say
KU
they
too.
both put up numbers, but I also think that college
Uh,
wise and how their talents and actual skill will translate in the NFL, I think it'll
Yeah.
just be a little bit more mild. I don't think it's going to translate as easy as some of these other receivers.
Hmm.
I do want to talk lastly, um, before we end real quick about the UNC receiver. What was his last name? Is it
Devontae Walker.
I was going to say Walker, Tez Walker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I watched a lot of his film today, actually. I was at the gym and in between sets, I was looking at his film. Um, not film, but like his highlights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing, he reminded me a lot of Jahan Dotson when it came to downfield ball tracking
Really.
capabilities.
I really don't know much about this guy.
Yeah, that's fair. So I watched a little bit of film on like everyone, and what stood out to me about Tez Walker's film was he was very efficient at tracking deep balls down. Like in kind of the aspect where he's not just gonna like burn you deep ball kind of, but like he's gonna
He
run
can follow it.
downfield and his body language and the way he like manipulates the
Yeah.
catching point and tracking it down, it's hard for the cornerback to get a good read on it. And so
Hmm.
I thought he was very efficient and that he could be a steal for another team. Again, like this just draft class is so loaded. And kind of like how previous years, I don't know how Josh Downs wasn't talked about enough. The
So good.
Colts
So good.
the Colts got him to fall in his lap. If
Oh
that
my God.
if a
That was
team could
such a
get the
steal.
same thing out of Tez Walker, get him late second round,
Yeah.
he'll do wonders for whatever team goes out and get him. I
Dude,
think that
Josh
he's a good
Downs,
he's a
my.
legit prospect. Yeah. I think there's legitimately 10 bona fide wide receiver two minimums with
Oh,
wide receiver one upside.
upside. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Upside wise, I think there's five legitimate wide receiver ones and then 10 legit, like not counting the five, so five other legit receivers that are at least wide receiver two talent wise.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be
I
hard to
would
miss
agree.
on that this year. And
I
we're talking about
yeah.
receivers and we haven't even talked about Brock Bowers. Like I know he's not a
Hmm.
receiver, but that's a pass catcher. That's
And
basically all only like he might as well be a
Sanders.
wide receiver.
Sanders from Texas. He's the best Texas like receiver in this draft.
Yeah,
Sanders is
yeah,
a baller.
yeah.
He's so good.
There's a lot of skill position talent this year, and I can't wait to watch them. I can't wait to watch the draft. I can't wait to see who's going to fall into what system. Lord, I can't wait to see who the Chiefs go out and get. I feel like this year
Dude,
they kind
that
of
got me
have to go out and get a
excited.
weapon
Once
because
I
this is the
once I
draft to do it.
realized like
This
Brian
is the
Thomas
draft to
was
do it.
him, like I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, I'm really excited now."
And even if there's a world where Brian Thomas doesn't even fall to the Chiefs, like he might get picked beforehand, in which I feel like the Chiefs would take an Adonai Mitchell, where they would go out and they
Hmm.
would take a wide receiver that, oh my God, don't let Keon Coleman fall in Andy Reid's lap. I don't want to
I
know
was
what he
thinking
would
about
do.
that
I
earlier
don't
today.
want to
I'm
know what
like
they would even scheme
like
up.
I'm seeing him, he's like the like fourth or fifth is what I'm seeing in
Yeah,
people's draft classes. And I'm
yeah,
like, that's kind of around the range of the Chiefs, but
yeah,
like surely he's gonna go before the Chiefs, right?
yeah, yeah. This draft will be a lot of
I'm
fun to watch.
excited.
This might be one of
Yeah.
the best draft class in a while because wide receiver wise, it's stacked. Lineman, it's pretty good. Quarterback, it's loaded. This draft
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait for the
Yeah.
fantasy implications. I can't wait for the just narratives for
This
team offensively and defensively for them to be pushed. I can't wait. It's gonna be so
next
much
year
fun.
could be a crazy year for rookies. Crazy year. It's gonna be
It's
a
gonna be so much
crazy
fun.
year in the NFL, dude.
Brock
There's so
Bowers is
many
about to
changes.
be a steal. I
Yeah.
can't wait to watch him.
All
But
right.
yeah,
So
I think that's gonna be it for this first episode. We had a lot that we talked about. I feel like this was a pretty good length wise, at least episode. We covered a lot, and I can't wait to go even more in depth on some of the topics that we mentioned today, specifically basketball. So
next
yeah,
episode, we gotta get some. I say we do multiple different what is it? Who do you rather?
yeah. Would you rather? Who'd you rather? Would you rather? Kind of. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I think
I know one that I want to
we
talk
do that
about
for like
is T.
different sports
Higgins.
too.
Yeah, I'm down. T. Higgins is one name that I want to do a would you rather on because he didn't really have the best year. It was
Nope.
still good. He still
No.
showed flashes of greatness, but he's kind of a question mark right now. So I'm very curious to see where you rank him. And even for myself, like I want to look more into it on like how I actually value him.
Yeah.
And that will just be a good segment to talk about for any sport. So yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot to look
Well,
forward to on this podcast. But yeah, that's gonna be it for episode one. Me and Ethan are gonna sign out, and we'll see you guys next time.